I lived under the shadow of my perfect brother, Mark, for so long, enduring endless insults from my own parents that branded me a failure. But you know what's truly shocking? The day that golden boy came begging, broken and desperate, asking me for help. For years, it was like a twisted mantra in our family. Your brother is successful, and you're just a failure. It didn't matter what I did, how hard I tried, or how many times I got agonizingly close to achieving something. Mark, my older brother, was always the golden child. The one they paraded around, boasting to anyone who'd listen. He had the high-flying job, the beautiful wife, the perfect house, the shiny car, everything that screamed success in their eyes. And then there was me. I was 28, still navigating the choppy waters of life, still trying to figure things out. It wasn't that I was lazy, my career just hadn't exploded like Mark's. I worked in marketing, but it never quite clicked for me, and that was something my parents simply couldn't fathom. I still remember the first time they truly ripped into me. I was 23, fresh out of college, hopeful, sitting at our kitchen table. It was Thanksgiving, everyone gathered, except Mark, of course, who was hosting his own lavish dinner with his wife's family. I was so excited, telling my parents about a job interview I just had at a marketing firm. I thought, this could be it, the start of something. But my mom looked at me, her expression tight, her words like a punch to the gut. Well, your brother doesn't have time for stuff like that, she'd said. He's too busy running his company. But you can barely get your foot in the door. When are you going to start living up to your potential? I felt like I'd been slapped. My dad, who'd been quiet until then, chimed in. Yeah, it's like you're just drifting through life while your brother's out there building an empire. They laughed then, a cold, hollow sound that echoed in the silence of my shock. I knew they probably didn't mean to inflict that kind of pain, but I also knew they didn't care how much it stung. Mark was their pride and joy, the perfect son, and I was just, well, I wasn't. The insults never stopped. Every conversation somehow morphed into a comparison between Mark's soaring success and my perceived underachievement. They'd call, not to chat, but to ask how my little job was going, or why I was still renting a small apartment. Sometimes, with that backhanded sweetness, they'd ask if I'd thought about doing something more with my life. It didn't matter how many times I told them I was doing my best. They didn't hear me. They only heard failure. Then there was the annual Christmas dinner. Every single year I dreaded it. It was a predictable, agonizing ritual. Mark would stride in, that perfect smile plastered on his face, his designer suit impeccable, his trophy wife by his side, and my parents would just beam with pride. It wasn't subtle. I remember sitting there, just pushing food around my plate, while they gushed over Mark's latest achievements. Mark's got this new promotion, my mom would declare. And now he's looking at buying another property. He's going places. And then, without fail, their eyes would turn to me. How's your little project going, honey? My stomach would churn. I'd force a smile. It's good, Mom. I'm making progress. But progress wasn't enough. My mom would then deliver some passive-aggressive comment about how nice it must be to not have so much pressure. My face would burn with embarrassment. And the worst part? Knowing that Mark, my own brother, was savoring every single moment of it. He'd laugh as if it were a hilarious joke. He never once stepped in to defend me, never stood up for the little brothers struggling under the crushing weight of our parents' expectations. Over time, I learned to keep my distance. I stopped telling them about my dreams or my goals, because they always found a way to belittle them. I even stopped attending family events when Mark was around. But that didn't stop the calls, the messages, the constant, stinging reminders that I wasn't measuring up. And Mark? He didn't seem to care. He didn't have time to call me, but he sure found time to rub his success in my face. Then, yesterday, everything changed. It started like any other day. Mark, naturally, texted me a photo of the fancy new car he'd just bought. A Porsche. He just had to let me know, couldn't possibly keep it to himself. He made sure to mention how proud he was to finally afford something like this. I didn't even respond. By this point, I just didn't care. But then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. It was my mom. "Your brother needs help," she said, her voice laced with an unfamiliar urgency. "He's in a bit of trouble, and I need you to help him." My heart dropped. But the golden boy? He was never the one who needed help. But as my mom went on, I could hear the desperation in her voice. Apparently, Mark's company had crashed. Some disastrous investment, a huge debt, and his reputation, the very thing he cherished most, was on the line. He needed someone to help him pick up the pieces. A twisted wave of satisfaction washed over me. For years, I was the failure. I was the one who couldn't get his life together. And now it was Mark. He was in over his head. But another part of me, the part that remembered being that ignored, belittled little brother, wanted to seize this chance. To finally get back at him. To tell him he couldn't just use people when it suited him. I didn't answer right away. I sat there, just thinking. The old me, the one who craved their approval, might have rushed to his side. But I wasn't that person anymore. Not after everything. So I called my mom back. "Why me?" I asked, a question that had been burning inside me for years. "Why don't you ask Mark's wife, or someone from his team?" There was a long, awkward pause before she answered, her voice faltering. "Because he doesn't want anyone to know. He's embarrassed." I could almost hear the desperate effort to save face, to keep Mark's perfect image intact. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't about helping Mark, it was about saving his reputation. But this time, I wasn't playing along. Not anymore. That's when I started thinking, what if I took this chance to finally take control of my own life? To show everyone, including Mark, that I wasn't the failure they thought I was? To build my own success, one that had nothing to do with them? But deeper than that, something personal was stirring. This was my opportunity for something more than just career success. This was my chance to finally address years of unresolved pain. Mark was going to regret this. Before I could even make a decision, Mark called me directly. His voice was shaky, his usual confidence completely gone. "I don't know what to do, man. This is bad. I need your help. Please." I could hear the panic, but I wasn't sure how far I was willing to go. The betrayal I'd felt over the years was still raw. Was this my moment for revenge? Or was I going to just walk away, like I always did when things got too hard? I still didn't know. But I knew one thing for sure, everything was about to change. I wasn't going to be the same person. Part of me did feel sorry for him. Part of me wanted to be the bigger person, to prove I wasn't just the failure they saw. But then I thought back. Every single insult. Every time my parents and Mark had rubbed my shortcomings in my face. I couldn't bring myself to answer. Anger bubbled up again, the kind that had been simmering for years, just waiting for the right moment. I took a deep breath, finally hitting the call button. His voice on the other end was shaky, almost pleading. "Are you there?" "I really need you, man." "Yeah, I'm here," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "But I need to understand something first. Why is it me you're calling? Why not your team? Your wife?" He paused. "I don't want anyone to know, all right? This is personal. I don't want to be the guy who's constantly asking for help. And I know I've never been there for you, but this time, I'm asking. I messed up. I really need your help." I could hear him struggling to maintain composure. This wasn't the cocky, self-assured Mark I'd known. This was someone completely different. For a split second, that old sense of sympathy tried to creep back in. But then I remembered. The years of them laughing at me. The years of being compared to him. Of hearing my parents say things like, "Mark has it all together, and you're not living up to your potential." I had to fight back the bitterness. "Mark," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm not sure I can help you this time. There was a long silence. What do you mean? I'm serious. I can't do this without you. You're my brother. Please. I never asked you for anything, but I really need this. The plea in his voice cut through my anger, but only for a moment. I shook my head, still trying to process everything. Why now? After all these years of treating me like a failure, the one who could never measure up, why should I help you? Mark didn't answer right away. I heard him take a shaky breath. Then he muttered, I don't expect you to understand. I thought maybe you could help me. Maybe it's time to fix things between us. I let the words hang in the air. Fix things? How many times had I wished for that? For some kind of reconciliation? For my family to finally see me for who I was, instead of just comparing me to him? Mark had always been the golden child. He'd never once acknowledged how much it hurt when they ignored me, when they treated me like a disappointment. How could I ever fix things with him after everything he'd put me through? Mark, I said, my voice firm now. This isn't just about your mess. This is about what you've done to me for years. You've never been there for me. You've always been the one who got all the praise, all the attention. And you know what? I'm tired of it. Tired of being your little backup when things go wrong. Maybe this is what you need. Maybe you need to realize that you can't always have everything handed to you. Another long silence. Then I heard him take a deep breath, and his voice softened. I'm sorry. I really am. I never realized how much I hurt you. You're right. I've always been the one everyone looked up to, and I never gave you the credit you deserved. I took everything for granted. But I'm asking for your help now because I don't know where else to turn. For a moment, something shifted in me. I could hear the regret in his voice, and it hit me harder than I expected. Maybe he was sincere. Maybe he was finally seeing me, seeing how much I'd been hurt. But I wasn't ready to forgive him. Not yet. I paused, letting the silence stretch. I'm not sure what you expect me to do, Mark. But you need to understand something. I'm not just going to help you because you're in trouble. I'm not some tool you can use to get out of your mess. And frankly, I'm tired of being treated like I'm nothing. I know, he said, his voice cracking. I know I've messed up. I just don't know where else to turn. Please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything to make things right between us. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After all the years of being told I wasn't enough, of hearing my parents constantly talk about Mark's success and how much better he was than me, now he was begging me for help. It felt like a sick twist of fate. I had to stop myself from laughing bitterly. I don't know if I can help you, Mark, I said finally, my tone cold. But I'll think about it. A sigh of relief on the other end. That's all I'm asking for. Just think about it. As the call ended, I sat there, staring at my phone. A part of me wanted to help him. I wanted to show everyone I could rise above it, that I wasn't the failure they thought. But another part of me, deep down, wanted to watch him fall. I wanted him to feel the weight of all the years he'd spent ignoring me, belittling me, acting like he was better. Was this my chance for payback? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. Something was going to change, and I wasn't going to be the same person. The ball was in my court, and for the first time in my life, I was the one who got to decide how the story went. I replayed the conversation over and over. Part of me still felt like I was being pushed into a corner. This was Mark, my older brother. The one who had everything handed to him, who never had to lift a finger. And now he was calling me to help him out of his mess. The nerve! I let my anger simmer, fueling my thoughts. How many times had I been overlooked, overshadowed by him? Every time I did something, made a decision, it was always compared to his success. The money, the career, the attention. They didn't see me, not for who I was, not for what I was doing. They just saw someone not following his path. They always looked at me like a failure, like I was the second choice, the backup, the one who couldn't measure up. I shook my head, trying to calm myself. The anger was there, potent and sharp, but I couldn't let it take control. I couldn't be a doormat anymore. I'd spent too many years being treated like I wasn't good enough, like my choices didn't matter. But this was different. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about me, about my life and what I wanted. I didn't owe him anything. It wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about finally standing up for myself. This moment felt like everything I had ever been through, all the years of trying to prove myself, had led to this. I wasn't going to let him come crawling back when things went south. I wasn't going to be his safety net anymore. But then a flicker of doubt. Was I being petty? Shouldn't family help each other out, even after years of neglect? I walked around the room, feeling the weight of it all. Mark had been a jerk, he'd belittled me, put me down every chance he got, acting like I was the family failure. The second I made a mistake, it was like a permanent failure label was slapped on my forehead, while he could do no wrong. And now, out of nowhere, he wanted to act like we were best friends, like we were equals? I couldn't let that slide. I stared at the phone again, debating. Part of me just wanted to say, no. I'm done. You've treated me like dirt for too long, and now you want my help? Tough luck. But then I remembered something crucial. I wasn't just anyone in this family. I wasn't just the afterthought, the one who was supposed to support him while he got all the glory. I had my own strengths, my own skills, and I didn't need his approval to feel like I mattered. I decided to respond. I texted Mark, "I've been thinking about it, and here's the thing. I'm not a safety net for you to fall back on when things go wrong. I've spent years watching you walk all over me, and I've had enough. I'm not going to help you because you're in trouble. You need to figure this out on your own, like I had to figure everything else out by myself." It was harsh, but a powerful sense of relief washed over me the moment I sent it. I wasn't begging for his approval anymore. I didn't care about his success or the way everyone had always treated me like I was invisible. I wasn't going to stand in his shadow any longer. A few minutes passed. My phone buzzed again. It was Mark. "Please just hear me out. I know I've messed up. I know I've treated you terribly, but I can't fix everything on my own. I need you. I'm sorry, okay? I should have been there for you. I'm asking you for your help because I want to change. Don't you want to see me do better?" I stared at the message, conflicted. I couldn't deny that part of me wanted to believe him. Hadn't I always longed for that family connection, the one where he would finally treat me like I was just as important as him? But the truth was, I had been doing all the emotional labor for years, trying to get him to notice me, trying to get my parents to see that I was capable. And now, just because he was in a bind, he thought everything would magically change? My fingers moved quicker than I could think. I'm not the one you turn to when your life falls apart, Mark. And you don't get to just undo everything with an apology. It's going to take more than words for me to trust you again. If you really want to change, you need to do the work, not just ask for help when it suits you. The phone buzzed again. This time, I almost didn't want to look. But I did. I get it. You're right. I don't deserve your help. I guess I've just been so used to getting my way that I didn't stop to think about how I've hurt you. I'll fix this. I'll prove to you that I'm not the same person. I just need time. I read the message, but I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. I didn't feel anything but emptiness. The kind of feeling you get when you realize that no matter how much someone says they're sorry, it's not enough to erase all the hurt. It wasn't enough for me to feel like I could help him. Not now. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes. I was done playing the part of the fixer, the one who always put everyone else's needs before my own. It was time for me to stop letting them walk all over me. I had my own life, my own future to think about. I texted back, "Good luck, Mark. I hope you figure it out. But I'm not the person you turn to anymore. I'm done." That was it. I had said it, and something inside me felt lighter. A weight had been lifted. I wasn't his backup anymore, and I wasn't going to let my family make me feel like I was. The silence that followed my message felt like a breath of fresh air. But it didn't last. The next few days were a strange mix of uneasy calm and sporadic bursts of messages from Mark. Every time I glanced at my phone, there he was, trying to explain himself, trying to convince me he'd changed. And every time, I resisted the urge to reply. Then came the call. Not from Mark, but from Mom. "Are you really going to do this to your brother?" she asked, her voice sharp, but not with the usual anger. There was something else there. Desperation? Maybe. "He's in trouble and you're just going to let him suffer because of all the things he did years ago? He's asking for help, and you're turning your back on him." I stayed quiet for a long moment, breathing in deep. "Mom, I've spent my whole life waiting for him to change. Waiting for him to see me, to treat me like I matter. He's never been there for me. Not once. So why should I keep being the one who cleans up his mess?" She sighed. "I know it's hard, but family sticks together. Don't let this be the thing that tears us apart." Something inside me snapped. All those years. All that emotional labor. The countless times I had been the one to hold things together while Mark got all the attention, all the praise. And now they were telling me to just forget about everything and do what was expected of me, as if nothing had happened. "No, Mom," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to keep being the person who picks up the pieces when everyone else is too busy." She fell silent, and I could hear the faint sound of her breathing. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why can't you just help him? Just this once?" I took another deep breath, trying to hold back the frustration. "Because, Mom, I've been helping him for years. And every time I do, it's like I lose a piece of myself. I'm done." There was a long pause before she spoke again, her voice softer. "I didn't want it to be like this." "Neither did I said, and hung up. The next few days felt surreal. It was like the world had shifted, but in a way that was still hard to comprehend. Mark kept texting, calling, trying to reach out, but I didn't answer. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew that if I gave in now, I'd only be reinforcing the cycle. I wasn't his doormat anymore. Then, a week later, I got another message from Mark. It was different this time. He wasn't begging for help. It was a long message, but this part stuck with me. "I've had a lot of time to think. You were right. I've spent my whole life using people, taking advantage of their kindness, and expecting things to be handed to me. I messed up and I'm sorry. I'm not asking for your help anymore. I just needed you to know that." I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. There was no immediate sense of victory, no rush of satisfaction, just quiet. I could feel the weight of everything he'd said, the sincerity in his words, but I wasn't sure it was enough. I didn't respond right away, but I knew that somehow this was the moment that changed things. He had taken responsibility. He was finally admitting to everything that had gone wrong. It wasn't an apology that solved everything, but it was a crucial step in the right direction. Mark had always been the golden child, the one who had it all. But in the end, it wasn't his success or his apologies that mattered to me. It was my own peace of mind. The fact that I had finally stood up for myself. I had stopped being the backup plan, the afterthought, the one everyone turned to when they needed fixing. I didn't need him to be perfect. I just needed him to see me for who I was, for the first time in his life. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what had happened. I put my phone down, a small but steady sense of relief washing over me. I didn't have all the answers, and things wouldn't suddenly be perfect. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had control over my own life. And that feeling? That was priceless.